Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Friday. Welcome along to the Breakfast Burrito. DJ Yoakley and Tommy P's with you here this morning, and it is a great morning. It is Mr. P's Free Agent Friday, and you brought along a very special guest. Tell us about, unveil this thing majestically as the WWE style that this gentleman possesses.
He is a sports guru, is a staple in East Liverpool Potter athletic programs. One, the only, Mr. Eric McMahon.
Mr. McMahon, how are we?
Did he go off? Is he already off the air?
Pretty good.
There he is.
Pretty good.
Tell us about yourself, man.
I've just loved sports ever since I can remember. When people my age were watching cartoons, I was watching everything on ESPN. I love sports, studied it, got into coaching because I ultimately love sports. I love being around kids too.
You got a nice hat rack on your wall, man. Lots of pirate hats there. I see it. It's a good.
Unfortunately. I want to see who the next person they trade is going to trade him for the bag of balls that comes next. I don't know.
Oh, we got a very special show for you today. These two, before we went on air, just a little heads up, they were going back and forth. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting show, and we hope you enjoy it. So today, Tommy and Mr. McMahon, we had some local scores from last night and around the Valley. We're going to get to those in just a second. But, it was huge. I don't know if you guys caught the Clippers Jackson Milton Blue Jays game on WKBN with Chad Krasinski over there calling it. There was a great game. Columbiana came out on top. Very defensive battle, very much so. A 36-23 victory for the Clippers. I think they're 20-1 now. Jackson Milton goes down to 18-2, I believe. So it was huge. And here's one of the takeaways. I got a text message from my broadcast partner, Anthony Hartwig. And he says, make sure you send some thoughts and prayers over to Michalina Taramova on the burrito tomorrow. She was 1 point away from breaking Jackson Milton's program scoring record, and then she went down to injury. So thoughts and prayers with her. We don't know how serious the injury is. Obviously, a huge opportunity and huge thing to be 1 point away from the scoring record at the school, and be kind of cut short, especially on a televised basketball game. So thoughts and prayers with her this morning. Congratulations to the Clippers. Congratulations to Jackson Milton on really taking this season by storm and flying high for the Blue Jays over there. So I'm sure more news to come as we head towards the tournament. The South Range girls last night, boys, a hard-fought battle, but they fall short to Cardinal Mooney 50-48. Two very, very highly touted games over there, two very good competitive teams. South Range drew the #1 seed in the Struthers District as we head towards the basketball tournament, as I said earlier. And this is only their fourth loss of the season, I believe, and all of them coming on the road in second matchups to teams they've already played. So, I mean, let's talk about that real quick. When you play a team twice in a season, who does it always advantage the home team guys, or is it something where when you look at tape, have a chance to look at tape of a team that might be a little bit more skilled and talented than you, maybe not as deep of a bench, does it give you the advantage going into game number 2?
I think that anytime you play a team twice in a year, the second time around for the losing team, there should be, a little better advantage to winning the ball game, just because you got the game film that that you played them, and then you got other film out there as well, leading up to the second meeting. So most of the time, I think that the second time around favors the team that lost, pretty much, whether it be the home or the away team. My opinion.
What are your thoughts, Eric?
I don't know. I would say yeah, but sometimes it just comes down to talent. And if you come in and get beat by a team by 20 and play them again, it could be even worse the next time, even if you lost. I don't know. I don't. There's a lot of factors going. It depends. It's not an exact science. I just don't know. I don't know if I can answer that one.
Well, I mean, when you look
talent.
at the NFL,
of course, talent's a big thing.
When you guys look at the NFL, they play. I mean, in the division, they play twice every single year, and I mean, you have the teams like the Browns who, not as competitive. But to me, as a fan, when you look at when the Steelers or the Bengals or whoever play that second time around, they know each other very well already. But it always scares me because a lot of times, especially if it's on the road, it's a possibility that your team's in for either a trap. Or even if if they're not competitive, they could be in for a trap. Or essentially, this could be a very crucial game for the other team if you're on cruise control in the later weeks.
Yes, I believe that's true too. But I think also the main difference in the NFL, you get the professional athletes; they all basically run the same stuff. They know what they're doing before they even show up to line up too. It's just whether you can stop them or not.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's right because there's that seal noise again. That's because the athletic prowess in the NFL basically is that they're all world class athletes once you get to the NFL. So there's a lot of familiarity that goes on when you play a division opponent twice. But when you go back to the high school level or even college level. There can still be a wide gap of talent from top to bottom. So it kind of makes it easier to, go and blow somebody out twice. Like Eric said, you might lose by 20 the first time and then come back and lose by 30 the second time. And that is because of, the talent gap that could be there. But, as far as professional sports go, every one of those guys are world-class athletes. And on any given Sunday, no pun intended, they can beat one another. So
Eric, what are you doing? Are you counting quarters over there, or what's going on your side?
What do you mean?
It sounds there's a lot of noise. It sounds like you're emptying your piggy bank.
No, it's my chair. I'm telling you, this is an old chair. I need a new chair.
We'll see if YSN can provide a new chair for you. That's McMahon headquarters.
I also think going to what he's saying, the familiarity and everything. But once you get off the professional level and you go to college, high school, styles do make matchups.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. We got some great action on YSN tonight, boys. Tommy, I know you got the call with the Potters and the Oak Glen Golden Bears. What do you think about that matchup?
Well, here you go. This is basically leads into what we just talked about. The home team, Oak Glen Bears, in their first meeting, we played at Oak Glen. We lost 58-50. Probably could have been a little worse. Trayshawn Jackson went unconscious in the fourth quarter, just hitting everything under the sun that he could put in because we were down about 15-17 when he started doing that. I think we cut it down to almost 4 or 5 at one point in the fourth quarter, but Oak Glen pulled away with a 58-50 win. So tonight at the Fieldhouse, we got senior night. It's homecoming night, and the Oak Glen Golden Bears, our Cross River rival, will come back into town. And I know we have we had the flu bug for a while, DJ. Now we got some injuries plaguing us. I'm not sure the status of Brendan O'Hara tonight. I know he tweaked his ankle, so hopefully he's back because he's huge for us on the front end of the defense. And hopefully the Potters can take away from that first game. Look at the tape, know what they did wrong, know what they got to do right tonight, and get the victory. So it should be a really good game tonight at the beautiful Potter Fieldhouse.
Eric, you're a lifetime Potter as well. Talk to me about kind of your assessment of this 17-18 Potter team.
I think they're a very young team as of right now, and they're still trying to grow into it. I think part of the problem is right now, and I think half the reason why they're 8-11 right now, they need to learn how to win. Because they don't really know how to win at the varsity level yet, and that takes time. I remember I coached on a team for football at East Liverpool in 2013. I thought we should have been a 7-3 or 8-2 team, and the reason why we weren't is because we lost 2 and 3 games that we probably could have won that year was because we didn't know how to win football games.
So what does it take? Is it winning games, or is it just kind of being able to lose in style, so to speak?
It's experience. It's getting your heart broken by losing close games, and that has a lot to do with it. It's just more experience and getting together as a unit and playing. I also think that may be a little part of the problem right now with these guys is I don't know if there's a certain lineup they can play that can be relied on right now. And I think being young does a lot to do with that. But you learn as you go along. I mean, you got what, 1-2 juniors starting, maybe 3 at one potential point, a bunch of sophomores beyond that, because there's only 2 seniors on the squad.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It seems like that's kind of an epidemic around. I don't want to say, I guess it is, but an epidemic around the Valley and around our coverage area is most of these teams across all the sports are young. And I don't know if that's because there was a gap in interest across, all the schools, or there was a baby boom at some point that, went, and then there was a kind of a lull, and then we're back up and we're peaking here in about 2 years. But when you talk about the really talented teams, a lot of them have, sophomores and freshmen that are really stepping up into the varsity level this year. Crestview is a huge example. Their talent pool is very young over there. They've got 1 senior on the team. You talk about Columbiana; they're a very young team. Just I think they've got a few more seniors, but their talent and their future is in the freshmen, the sophomores. Sean Whitehead over there in Columbiana, Eric Hopfinsies is a huge player for Columbiana right now. South Range, you have a ton of freshmen girls. I interviewed a sophomore this year on the or this week on the boys team, Chris Brooks. It just seems to me, guys, like the future is now for these local high school teams. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I totally agree. I said that last year about the Potter team. Midway through the year, season, wasn't going how they wanted to. They had a bunch of young talent. They were starting Jackson as a freshman at point guard when Dawson went down, and it's paid dividends so far this year for the Potters. I mean, 8-11, like Eric said, but they're still young. So this court time that these young men are getting, that historically sophomores don't see a lot of run at the varsity level. Of course, there's a few out there that might have a lot of talent that earn their way onto the court as a sophomore, but it's very few and far between. And at one point we could have 5, 6, 7 sophomores right now going onto the floor for the Potters. So I just think that like Eric said, I mean, you gotta learn to be a good loser before you could be a good winner. And this experience that this young team is getting, or any young team for that matter of fact, it'll help them in the long run. So, next year should be a turning point, because we've lost some close games this year, and, we've won a few games that maybe we shouldn't have, but it's all a learning curve, for these young athletes. It's a big stage for, a sophomore.
I also think that we've also run the bad part of the gamut too. Seeing where he's saying a lot of the teams like up his way, like Crestview, Columbiana, they're pretty young or whatever. Salem started all 5 seniors. There were 3 seniors that started for Harrison Central. I think there were 3 seniors that started for Indian Creek too. Oakland's best player is Juan Kukowski. He's a senior. He's their point guard. But the other 2 are juniors, and Travis is the best player on the floor for him. So we're running into a lot of upper class, but being a bunch of sophomores and pretty much 1 junior on the floor.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And some of the games that we have tonight, some of the games around the Valley are going to feature some of those future stars for these teams. We have Poland Seminary taking on Edgewood, heading on the road to take on the Edgewood Warriors tonight. Also, the Fighting Irish of Ursuline going to Villa Maria to take on the Victors. That's tonight at 6. Struthers on the road to take on Lakeview. That's at 7. LeBray taking on Camel Memorial. Jefferson taking on Hubbard. And then in YSN action, you have Champion taking on Girard tonight in Girard. And then some more YSN action. Western Reserve taking on the Crestview Rebels. I know Rocky Brown will have that call. He was on the show yesterday. You have Liberty taking on the South Range Raiders. It is homecoming in the Thriller Dome. We will have that live coverage starting early. It's usually we start about 7. We'll probably start about 6:45 for that one, and see if we can crown the homecoming king this evening, and then maybe even get an interview, hopefully, with the king and queen. We also have Latonia and Sebring going on, and then Lisbon, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit, but Lisbon and Mineral Ridge going head-to-head. Who else we have? Austintown and Howland matching up United and Lowellville. And then that's about, well, you have McDonald and Columbiana, and that is about it. The Quakers taking on the Duke, so that's a big fight down that way. And you also have a girls' game tomorrow, I believe. It's Carrollton versus Salem. So keep your antennas up on YSN. We'll have a lot of coverage tonight. We'll have a lot of coverage tomorrow. And guys, one of the things that we covered last night, big news here in Columbiana County, as a very storied program takes its first step towards the next level, and it's Lisbon. David Anderson High School, most of us know it as Lisbon. They hire a new football coach, and it is Mr. See here, I want to read the official title, the official tweet from the athletic director, Kyle Bang. He is pleased to announce the new football coach, Alan Mikovich, to the Lisbon family. Looking forward to the continued success of the program and watching him help our young men grow. And that was from Kyle Bing. And if you want to follow Kyle, it's at DAHS Athletics on Twitter. Guys, we're talking about the only program in the county, Columbiana County, with a football state championship. And obviously with their legendary coach, Jim Salimas, stepping down in December with it was 147 and 115 record over 25 years in 2 stints in the program. The new football coach steps in with high expectations. Obviously in Lisbon, they made the playoffs 3 straight weeks, or 3 straight years, excuse me. And their arrow, as Mike Tomlin would say, is pointed up. So guys, what's your take on this hire? He's a Fitch guy, a former Fitch assistant coach, and he's a Cheney grad. Did the Lisbon Blue Devils win this one?
I mean, it's going to be hard to follow Salimas. I mean, the guy had 25 years of coaching experience in Lisbon, 2 different stints, like you said. He was a winner, only state title in Columbiana County history. So, I mean, there's big shoes to fill, but I'm sure, the administration at Lisbon wanted to go out and find the guy they were looking for, and it looks like they did. So, I mean, hopefully, it works out for him, and he's a successful coach, but it's definitely big shoes to fill coming in behind Salimas, who's a legend in Lisbon.
Yeah, I think this guy's. I really think, and I don't have a whole lot of intel on him, but what I can find all over the internet, and by asking a few of the Valley's top brains, picking them, is essentially this guy. He was a Cheney grad, started 3 years, captained the Cowboys in both junior and senior seasons. So what that tells me is you're getting a leader. You're getting somebody who has high expectations of themselves and high expectations of everybody around them. So I'm excited to see what the Blue Devils can do. I think they got a great pick there in Mr. I keep butchering his name, Mikovich. And I think he's going to be able to do big things. He was at a big program. You talk about going from Fitch to Lisbon, 2 different divisions. But I think that the opportunity is there to grow and to, as Kyle said, watch these guys grow their young men over there at David Anderson High School. So it'll be exciting to watch. It'll be exciting to see. And, Lisbon, a huge part of that EOAC. And they're looking to turn the tables. They didn't win it last year. They had a rough stretch against Columbiana. It could have been like a 3-way tie, I think, for the EOAC championship. And it ended up, Columbiana beat them, and then Columbiana falls to East Palestine. So it's going to be interesting to watch because Lisbon is a team to look out for, not only in football, but across the board. So it'll be exciting to watch how things transpire over there in the county chair. And see how things go. But I think they won this one, guys. I think they had a great pick in Coach Mikovich.
I do too, but I question 2 things about this. Number one, he's going from Fitch to Lisbon, correct?
Correct. So
he's going to a Division I school to a Division 7 school. So that run of talent where you get a Division I, where you have 30 people that can play, and you don't have to play people both ways there because there's more than enough people to pick from. You got to play everybody both ways at the Division 7 level. You don't have a choice on that. I think that's going to be a hard adjustment in itself right there. And like you said, how they ended the season last year, because they were 6-1 at one point and they finished 6-5.
Yeah, I think that it boils down to me, it's always about, the leadership, and high tide raises all boats. I think what he's going to bring in with with his coaching staff. I'm sure the vat of talent that is still over at Lisbon. I mean, they graduated a few, obviously, but I think the talent is still there to make a run. Obviously, you have guys like Parker Sherry. You have a very young team in Columbiana that are going to be, the favorites going into the season. But when you turn the leaf over to a new coach, guys, there's a lot of expectations, but there's a lot more questions. So it's going to be interesting to see how in his first year, Coach Mikovic can make things happen, and if he can get these guys to buy into the program.
He's got to rally the troops. Got to rally the troops.
And I think, Tommy, you alluded to it. He does have big shoes to fill, but I don't want to speak for him. But as a former coach, as a manager, you never want to try to fill those shoes. You just want to look down the aisle to a different pair and be able to kind of build your own shoes. When you build your own shoe online in the Nike store, build your own shoe. And that's the thing. Like, too many people want to compare themselves to other people, and too many fans and too many parents want to compare this to that. It's apples and oranges, guys. I mean, you're talking a coach that has been in the program for 25 years, knows, really was there before they were born, obviously. So if he was, I'm sure in some cases he probably coached some of their parents or uncles or aunts, you know what I mean? Something, or, well, I guess hopefully not their aunts, but maybe, who knows? But it's one of those things where Coach Salimas is so storied in that program's history that you don't want to try to fill those shoes. I don't think so. I think you try to create something, your own legacy, if you will, at Lisbon, and that's to any coach that's starting anew.
I don't think the replacing the legend part is going to be a big deal for this guy. I really don't. I don't think that's an issue, because look where he's been and who the head coach is at Austintown Fitch. The head coach at Austintown Fitch is Phil Annarella.
Yep.
Phil Annarella is an Ohio coaching legend.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the coaching tree and the NFL and in college football, and it's the same in high school football. It's all about who you've been around, who kind of taught you the craft. And you're right, Eric. If Phil Annarella is the guy to which Coach Mikovic falls from that tree and heads towards Lisbon, look out, because the Blue Devils are going to have something special up their sleeve, and it's going to be exciting to watch this fall. So hats off to Lisbon. Hats off to the athletic director over there, Kyle Bing, on bringing in a good one. And we wish nothing but the best to the Lisbon football team and Coach Mikovic. Guys, to turn the page on the local. Well, I guess let's dabble in this a little bit. It seems like everybody I'm looking at, especially this time of season, you look on Twitter, you look on Facebook, the 1,000 Point Club is an elite club, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But is it starting to get watered down a little bit? Because from my perspective, 1,000 Point Club used to be few and far between, and now, and this is not to take away from any of the athletes, but I think it's a different game. Do you guys feel like the 1,000 Point Club is kind of not as high as it used to be on the list of accomplishments?
I mean, I think that that it's still a major accomplishment for a high school athlete to score 1,000 points in varsity basketball. This kind of goes back to what we talked about the other day, Yoke. It's the fact that we have kids who are specializing in sports, okay, and some being basketball. So what you see is you're seeing a lot more freshman athletes who might have specialized in basketball who are able to step on the floor immediately as a freshman and have an impact in these games. They're able to generate these points that most of the time freshmen and sophomores aren't going to do at the varsity level. So they're able to reach the 1,000 points, a lot faster than what we've seen in past. Now, Liverpool historically is a great basketball school. It's, we talked about it 1,000 times. We only have 6 1,000-point scorers in school history. So for me, it's still a major accomplishment, no matter where you're at. And I know you mentioned before we went off air, there was a sophomore from where who scored his 1,000th point already?
McDonald. It's Zach Raziel.
So I would go out on a limb to say that he is an elite talent. He started as a freshman, and he's a scorer. And, hats off to that kid, because, he could reach some elite numbers to where maybe he could be, top scorers all time in the state of Ohio. So hopefully we'll follow him for the next couple of years, and he can continue his scoring rampage, and hopefully he can get up there in the state rankings for all-time leading scorers. But there's no doubt in my mind that scoring 1,000 points as a high school basketball player is a major accomplishment. And it says a lot too, for me, just because I'm an East Liverpool homer and a big advocate of the basketball program and what it does for our school. Having only 6 all time, the last one being 3 years ago, and Isaac Davidson. I still think it's a big deal, real big deal.
Now you mentioned Raziel from McDonald, right?
Right.
He's already in the state record book because he broke the record as a freshman as a 5'5" shooting guard. He broke the record for 3-pointers in a season already. So,
wow,
he broke. So
he's a shooter.
Yeah, he's a shooter. He's a shooter. He was out of the guys they named in the what do they call that up there? What was WKBN call it, DJ? What do they call that? I know they call it the Big 22 for football. What is it, like the starting 5? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, starting 5. Yep.
He was in it as a freshman, along with a kid from Wilmington that went to Duquesne. The kid Lynn Bowden was in it, who played receiver at Kentucky this year. So he was in pretty elite company as far as that goes. Now I know we held the Buckeye 8 tournament Saturday, and the kid from Buckeye local, Drake Novak, got 1,000 points during our tournament. I know he scored his 1,000 point, and the kid from Bel Air, Chase Yoho, was in the 2,000 club. So,
wow, impressive. 2,000,
yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, guys. And I'm taking a look right now at Zach's Twitter feed, and he's a shooter, man. He looks like he's a great kid. He's got a great following on him, and he's got what it takes. So it'll be interesting to see what he's up to. But the 1,000-point club. I'm with you. It's a very elite thing. But do you think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a huge basketball guy, but we talked about it before too, Tommy, the dialect, the game has changed from a very defensive game to a very offensive game, a transitional game. And, I think you're going to see a lot more 1,000-point scorers in the years to come because of it, because it's all about flash. It's all about, scoring more points than the other team as opposed to playing defense. Now, we saw a defensive struggle in Columbiana last night, but as many it's almost like it's flipped. We go from not scoring as much, and when a team scores 70 or 80 points, that was the rarity. That was the outlier. And now it's if a team scores below 40, that's the outlier. Where did this trend take place? Is it another point to the NBA?
I think it's just the pace of the game. I mean, the pace of the game is changed. It's a lot. You see a lot of get out and go in the game of basketball today at all levels. It's flashier. You see a lot more outside shooting, and like I said, it's a get out and go game. So I mean, when you play at a faster pace, you're going to get more possessions. You're going to get more opportunity to score. You're going to get more opportunity to put the ball in the bucket. And when the game is played at a faster pace, it's going to have more points are going to be scored on both sides of the ball. So therefore, you're going to see individuals that are going to take advantage of that and put more balls in the bucket. So. Yeah, I think that's a huge point. I'm not saying it's direct reflection of the NBA, but pace in basketball is huge because pace equals possessions and possessions equals points.
Eric, what's your take?
I think that whenever you see that, how the pace is going, I think it does have to do a lot with the NBA. I do, because what these kids see now on TV is so fundamentally bad to basketball. I just think it's fundamentally bad. How these guys in the NBA, I don't know if you've ever watched NBA games, these guys on transition will kick it out and chuck a 3 up. On transition, 18 left on the shot clock, they'll get the ball across and chuck it up. That's considered a quality possession in the NBA now. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I think that type of coaching will go into it more, and I think you'll start seeing more scores against 1,500. I think 1,500 will eventually be, just because people are going to score, I think that'll eventually be the benchmark. for a 4-year career for high school. I think that will be eventually, not right now, but I think you're going to see more coaches get out there and do transition stuff, unlike the Bob Von Kettles at Dover that played defense, stressed that first, and more confident, scored just 60 points a game, and they'll win. Now, Dover's one of the most successful programs in the state of Ohio, but he's been there for 40 years, but you know, I mean that's what I think. I think it's going to that. I think college is going to that too. College is more up tempo. College got more up tempo, in my opinion, when you ask me. Whenever they took all the timeouts away from them and only gave them 4 timeouts, and if you don't use the timeout in the first half to take it away, they only get 3 in the second half. So they kind of took the NBA principle of that and turned it to college basketball, and I think it made college basketball more faster whenever they did that.
No, I'm with you.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And guys, we pointed to the NBA as probably one of the issues for, you know, the basketball transition from defensive to offensive. And yesterday, there were a lot of people that were very defensive and offended by the Cleveland Cavaliers basically turning over their entire team, minus LeBron James. Minus who else? Kevin Love. I mean, who's left on the Cavaliers? Let's do a quick review. So the day started with the Cavs trading Isaiah Thomas to the Lakers. So Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, and their own 2018 first-round pick for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. Okay, but it gets better, boys, because it seemed like 30 seconds later the Cavs traded for Rodney Hood and George Hill. So they get Hood and Hill to the Cavaliers, Derrick Rose and Jay Crowder to the Jazz, Joe Johnson, Iman Shumpert, and a 2020 second-round pick go to Sacramento. And finally, as if that wasn't enough, they keep on rolling, and Dwayne Wade, LeBron's best friend, is no longer on the Cavaliers. Dwayne Wade back to Miami for a protected second-round pick. So, to review, Isaiah Thomas to the Lakers, Channing Frye is on the Lakers, Jordan Clarkson is on the Cavs now. Larry Nance Jr. on the Cavs. Jay Crowder, gone. He's on the Jazz. Derrick Rose, gone on the Jazz. Iman Shumpert on the Kings. Joe Johnson on the Kings. George Hill on the Cavs. Rodney Hood on the Cavs. And Dwayne Wade to the Heat, where he started and made the most of his career. Guys, wow. Okay, so if this wasn't an absolute kind of turn the page and a broken experiment or an experiment gone wrong, I don't want to say they're waving the white flag, because I think they have a better chance now to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy than they have when they started this season. What's your take?
Well, first of all, let's have some fun with this. Clarkson, Nance, Hood, and George Hill will not make their Cavs debut tonight. So for the Cavs tonight, you'll have Jose Calderon Jr., LeBron James, Jeff Green, Tristan Thompson, Kyle Korver, and then these 4 guys who I have no idea what their first names are: Parantis, Holland, Osman, and Zizic. That's the Cavs roster tonight.
Against the Celtics.
So you see, there's the seal. There he is. You keep that darn chair still. But so the Cavs broke the internet yesterday with this gigantic trade, multiple trade news. But I'll be honest with you, I love NBA basketball. I do follow it, and I think that the Cavs are a better ball team now than they were before the beginning of the day yesterday. You know, Isaiah Thomas didn't seem to be the best fit for the Cavs. George Hill is going to step in and pretty much complement everything that LeBron wants to do. Jordan Clarkson could be an elite scorer in the NBA if given the opportunity. And then you got on top of that, you brought in Larry Nance Jr., who is super athletic, basically going to take the place of Jay Crowder, which is a serious upgrade. And then Rodney Hood, he's a young gun. He's a sharpshooter. He's a baller, and he's going to put the ball in the bucket and hopefully give them a spark from outside. So if the gel can be good between this new group of Cavs players, I'm on the side of the fence that says that they're a better basketball team with the trades that were made. And except for tonight, I might just watch to watch, because that is going to be an absolute shit show when they play the Celtics.
I'm with you, but I hope you're at the East Liverpool game.
Well, I'll DVR it. I'll DVR the Cavs game just to see it. But yeah, I think that even though there's like you said, there's a lot of people that think how I do that it was an upgrade. A lot of people think that it was just an absolute disaster for Cleveland. Here's a side note that I heard last night on ESPN too. These moves, sending Isaiah Thomas to Lakers and getting back Nance and Clarkson, has basically paved the way for the Lakers to have 2 maximum salary players next year. And the word on the street is it's going to be Paul George and LeBron James heading to Los Angeles, which just a few days ago they said, no hope for LeBron in Los Angeles. But this trade, which LeBron was supposedly had absolutely nothing to do with, it was all done by the front office, did not confirm with LeBron that it was okay. They just did it. And it looks like they did the Lakers the biggest favor in freeing up enough room for them to go after 2 maximum salary players next year. So we'll see. It should be an interesting offseason for the Cavs, the Lakers, and the rest of the NBA. But it'll be very exciting to watch the Cavs moving forward. And I think a lot of people, Cavs fans or not, will tune in to see. It's like we started a new season tomorrow when these guys all debut. It'll be like a new season for the Cavs. I mean, it's basically a whole different team. So.
And then they'll have to do it again in 8 weeks whenever Kevin Love comes back. I mean, they're going to have to rebuild that chemistry again in 8 weeks. So it's going to be very interesting. Do you think that the Cavaliers, without trying to, just bought LeBron's ticket to Los Angeles?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you listen to if you're buying in on the ESPN analyst and what you hear on the NBA channel and stuff, yeah, it looks that way. Paul George, LeBron James will be Los Angeles Lakers next year. But listen, it's all speculation. Nobody really knows, but that's the beauty of media, and that's what they're there to do, is to speculate and put scenarios out there that make people want to watch the product and pay attention to the product moving forward. So it'll definitely be a very exciting offseason for sure.
Let me ask you this, and this is pure speculation, and this is pure, let's get into our, let's turn the light on the flux capacitor, get in our DeLoreans, go out, 7 months from now. If LeBron leaves again, does he get absolutely ridiculed and blamed like we saw in the decision? Or is there a different flavor in Cleveland now, and he won the championship for the city, the first in so many years? Are they okay with him leaving?
I think it'll be 50-50. I mean, there'll be people that are out in the streets burning their LeBron jerseys again, and there'll be but there'll be people that'll be okay with it. I mean, listen, LeBron's a businessman, and he's got to do what's best for him. He brought the city of Cleveland their championship that I thought that they would never get, and you can't hate the guy for making a business decision or a business move that's the best for his future and his family. So I'm sure the diehard fans won't be happy about it, and the city of Cleveland's economy will not be happy about it, because we've talked about this. Cleveland economy is based on LeBron James, and it will hurt. A part of me somehow, some way, and I don't know if we talked about this on the burrito before, but Gilbert wants out of Cleveland. He wants to sell the Cavs. Why not LeBron James buy the Cavs? I mean,
I'm with you. I'm with
you. He's got
100%.
the cash, and if he don't want to, liquidate or whatever he's got to do to buy him, I mean, I'm sure he could get backing very, very easily. So
Eric's loving his camera time, because as you're talking, I don't know if he's tapping on the desk or something, because every time it makes a noise, the camera goes right to Eric. So I don't know if you're doing your taxes over there, brother, or what's
it's the chair. It's the chair.
I think if your name's not LeBron, Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love because he's hurt, J.R. Smith, or Corver, if you played Wednesday night in that double overtime against Timberwolves, that's who they played Wednesday night, right?
Right.
Yep.
You don't play for the Cavs anymore. They got rid of almost everybody. They got rid of almost everybody. Now, the joke I always was saying was, at times, the way I thought East Orville basketball team played, I don't know who played worse defense at times, us or the Cavs. It was a joke, and I don't expect an answer for it because I don't have an answer for it. Their defense was atrocious. They need to do something. And to your point, Tommy, to where you just made, saying you don't know if they'll outright hold LeBron and Apogee if he leaves, or they'll be okay with it. I don't know which way that'll go, but I do know this: as far as LeBron James goes, he owes Cleveland nothing. He owes them absolutely nothing at this point. He delivered on what he said he was going to do. He owes them nothing.
I agree. You. Yeah, I think we're both in agreement there. That was a great point, Eric.
There it is.
The chair.
Listen, I'm leaving here. When I leave today, I'm going to Walmart and I'm buying you a new chair.
Okay. Now, you said the Cavs broke the internet, DJ. You said this earlier. They broke the internet. What they did, we're going to talk in a couple segments. We're going to talk in a couple segments. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet, but normally what would have happened in 2 segments from now would have been the biggest story of the sports day, and the Cavs overshadowed it.
And that's what it's all about sometimes, right? It's all about who's got the most popularity, who's trending better on the internet. Now, I don't think that went into what the Cavs did yesterday. I think that was out of necessity. But I'm with you. In 2 segments, you're going to sound off because it's your squad. So I'm excited to hear your take on it. But moving along, boys, talking about the best rivalries in sports. We saw last night on the mothership, ESPN, that UNC getting a big win over Duke and shattering some hopes and dreams of Duke sweeping the series this year. So talk to me about some of your best rivalries in sports, and is Duke and North Carolina on top 10, top 5, top 100? Let's assess that.
For me personally, Duke North Carolina is probably in my personal top 5. Anytime Duke North Carolina play, no matter where it's at, I'm tuning in. Big fan of that rivalry. Ohio State Michigan, of course, is going to be up there. We talked about in the pre-show Army Navy. NFL, I think Ravens and Steelers is a storied rivalry, and even Steelers and Bengals now is starting to become pretty heated rivalry as well. And those are just my personal favorites, and mainly because I'm a Steeler homer and a Buckeye guy as well. But Duke, North Carolina, I think if you pulled the United States of America, that Duke, North Carolina would have to be probably top 5 rivalries in all of sports.
Eric, what's your take?
I don't know. I think it's a pretty good rivalry. I really do. I think it's more of a deal in college basketball than it is for anything else in those, because let's be honest, their football stinks. Let's be honest. Their football stinks. Ohio State, Michigan's a pretty big one. USC, UCLA is a pretty big one. Auburn, Alabama, I think might be the best rivalry in college football. Texas, Oklahoma is pretty good too. I mean, there's a lot of good rivalries in college football. There's a lot of good rivalries around the world, like even soccer, rugby. There's a lot of good rivalries. There is. I think tradition-wise, Army-Navy is my favorite one because I think the purpose of the Army-Navy game is it's not football so much. It's what they're going to school and what they're going to do afterwards.
No, that's a great point. I guess I probably on my top 10, I left those guys out, and that's a huge game. I worked with a company for about 5 years where the Army Navy game was very, very important, and I was able to kind of feed off their excitement, and now it's a staple in the Oakley household that we watch the Army Navy game. So, all right, guys. So I took a poll and essentially look at BleacherReport.com, and they've got their top 10. Well, they've got a top 100. So we'll post this on the website and socially probably right after the show. But I want to get your take on the top 10. So I'm going to scroll up here real quick and give you the top 10. You tell me if it is legitimate or if it is BS. Okay. So number 10 is Duke versus North Carolina. I think we're all in agreement that is a legit rivalry.
Yeah,
yes.
Legitimate.
Yes.
Okay, number 9. Detroit Red Wings versus Chicago Blackhawks.
Absolutely. I'm a Blackhawks fan. Absolutely.
So you get tinglies whenever the either the Red Wings come to town or the Hawks go over to into Motown, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Yankees Red Sox.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, it was. I remember this thing was always a big deal, but even more so, the one that comes to mind is the one I think if they were in Boston maybe, and it was Pedro and trying to think of the pitching coach for the Yankees going at it. I'll never forget that. That'll be burned into my memory as long as I can. Is Pedro kind of Olayan? Was it Don Zimmer? Is that what his name was? Pushing him to the side. So. Yeah, Boston and New York and anything to me is a rivalry, but especially with the Red Sox Yankees. So that's a thumbs up. Okay, so then it says India versus Pakistan. So I'm guessing they're talking about cricket, which I have absolutely no idea about. Eric, you might be able to enlighten us, but I'm going to say this one.
I don't know. I tried to watch cricket before. I just can't do it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
No idea. I thought a cricket was a
bug.
Something outside. Yeah, a bug. Yeah.
Well, like Jiminy Cricket? Come on.
Jiminy Cricket, yeah.
All right, number 6, Celtic FC Football Club versus the Rangers Football Club. I'm not a soccer guy, so anybody want to? Okay,
that's a pretty big rivalry. That's a pretty big rivalry. Scottish Premier League.
So your thumbs up on that?
Yeah, I am.
All right. Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
That's a big one.
Finland versus Sweden.
Is that hockey?
I'm saying they're saying Olympics. I mean, I figured in the Olympics, it's every person for themselves, right? It's every country for themselves. I think everybody's a rival in that, right?
Pretty much.
Here's one: the Montreal Canadiens versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hockey, obviously. I mean, I'm a Penguins guy only.
Is that number 1?
That is number 3.
Oh, okay.
Number one's a given. Number 2 is Ohio State versus Michigan.
And number 1's Army Navy, obviously.
No, number
really?
1, Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali.
Oh wow.
Oh,
that's actually. I mean, I wasn't putting boxing into this, but yeah, I would say that's. I mean, I don't know if I would put it number 1, but I mean that was a heck of a rivalry for entertainment purposes.
Historically, it's yeah. Where's Army Navy fall on that top 100 list?
Hang on, I'm searching for it. Hang on. So we've got Edmonton versus Calgary. I feel like this was this story was one of those guys that just hates major sports and is just going to put all these rivalries in, like River Plate versus Boca Juniors. Argentina football clubs.
Argentina.
So, I mean, I don't know, man.
2 Buenos Aires clubs, yeah.
Here you go, Eric. 14. Alabama versus Auburn. That is where it ranks.
14?
14. We got Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling. We got Knicks versus Heat are 16. Wow.
Where's the Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin rank?
That's what I want to know.
How about Austin versus McMahon?
Austin versus there you go.
Okay, that's higher than that. Okay.
Packers versus Bears is 17. Lakers Celtics at 19.
That's 19?
19. Cardinals Cubs at 21. Giants Eagles at 22. We got England versus Australia. I mean, you can't take countries into this. I'm sorry. Like, you might as well. What's it? These Middle East countries. I probably think they rank higher than that if we're putting countries against each other.
What countries you say that was? You say that what was that? England, Australia.
England, Australia.
That's got to be cricket. That has to be cricket.
Yeah, you're right. Cricket. You hit the nail on the head. The Seminoles versus the Hurricanes. Florida State versus Miami is 25. Bruins versus Canadiens. Oh man, this is where it gets a little bit askew, boys. Michael Jordan versus the Detroit Pistons. Come on, like at least say the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons. Let's not just throw.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Did you watch the documentary?
I did.
The Bad Boys documentary they did for the 30 for 30.
I have not.
It was Jordan against the Bad Boys. It was.
Here you go. Number 28, Army Black Knights versus the Navy Midshipmen. 28.
Wow.
Just ahead of AC Milan versus Inter Milan.
Oh, I don't know.
Missouri versus Kansas gets the 30. Cowboys, Redskins, 31. Browns, Steelers, 33. So it's above.
Browns, Ravens?
Shouldn't that be Browns,
Steelers, Ravens?
Steelers, Ravens?
It's Browns, Steelers, 33. I don't even know if they're on the Louisville and Kentucky is 33. Wait, did they tie them? Yeah, there's two 33s on here, so they're tying them. Harvard and Yale, Notre Dame and USC, Nebraska and Oklahoma, Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, 39 Steelers versus Ravens.
Okay, here's what I don't get about this list. They're putting things on here that are great rivalries. Don't great rivalries usually have to continue?
Right. You're right.
I mean, Frazier Ali, I understand why they would have put that number one, but it's not going to happen again. Missouri, Kansas isn't going to happen again because of conference realignment. Backyard Brawl's Backyard Brawl's going to happen in 2022, but it's not going to happen every year.
Here's one, 56. Sean Avery versus the entire NHL. That one hit home for Mr. McMahon.
Maybe he was mad at him because they all had sloppy seconds. I don't know.
Dude, so listen to this one. Michigan versus Michigan State is 61. If you're, I guess, a Michiganian, is that? I mean, that's pretty low on the list.
If you root for Sparty, you probably don't like Notre Dame more, truthfully. But if you're a Wolverine fan, I know a lot of Wolverine fans. They could care one less if they're playing Michigan State because they ain't the rivalry. They don't care.
Right. You're looking for those silver bullets. I'm trying to find here. Where the heck? Yankees Mets at 74. Florida State Florida at 75. Celtics 76ers at 76. Ironically, Spain versus Portugal. I mean, what are they talking about here? They're talking about soccer.
Nah, I have to be.
Jets Patriots at 78. I mean, these things they're really interesting, guys. So, our top 10 versus that's going to be across the board. But when you look at it, my top 10 looks very, very different than this Bleacher Report top 10. And this one came out a little bit ago. So we'll post a link to the webpage, and we'd like to hear your top 10 at home. And if you're listening to the show, so give us your top 10, both locally, regionally, nationally. Locally here, the Battle of 224 is excellent. You guys have a great rivalry down there as well. East Liverpool versus Beaver Local. We try to get as much of that as we possibly can. With the conference changes, it's shifted things a little bit. And Eric, I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier. Some of these rivalries just don't happen anymore. The backyard brawl, that's one of the biggest ones for a while. And we're not going to see it. I mean, when's the last time we saw it? Was it 2 to 3 years ago, right?
2011 is the last time we saw backyard brawl.
Wow. So you're talking, 7 years now, and we're going to see it, you said, in 2022?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, so you're talking 11 years that you're not going to see it. And then all of a sudden it pops back and it sells tickets. And I think that's what it's all about. So
that's a whole generation that's going to wait 11 years to watch him. A whole generation is going to forget why they do not like West Virginia. A whole generation is going to forget. Just like when they brought Penn State back on the schedule, they played him 16 years. Whole generation forgot how much the Pitt-Penn State rivalry really meant. How it was blackledge against Marino in the 80s, two top 5 teams playing each other. People forget about all that stuff once you stop playing each other. They do.
In layman's terms, for Tommy, basically, we're going to see 3 Olympic sports of figure skating before you see that backyard rivalry again, the backyard brawl. So, Tommy, you're going to be able to catch up on all your figure skating, your team, and your singles.
I knew I never should have mentioned that I watch figure skating in the Winter Olympics.
I do too. I'm not going to lie. I do too. It's a guilty pleasure.
You both are weird.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Hey, to wrap this up, boys, number 81, USA versus Mexico, and I wonder who the team captain is for good old US of A. Tommy, any guesses, thoughts on USA versus Mexico?
Donald Trump. Would he be the team captain
He
in
would
today's
be-
world?
He's always my team captain, but yes, I would imagine that he would be he'd get the C up on his shoulder. So, all right, that's the local wrap up. We're gonna get your opinions here after the show on the Breakfast Burrito. But guys, the number one topic that well, I guess the number two topic yesterday, but the number one topic to me, Jimmy G gets paid, and he gets paid a huge, huge amount. This is something we talked about not too long ago. I mean, some of us were, I myself included, I was worried that San Francisco wasn't going to get Jimmy G back. I thought Jimmy G was going to go and try to get a payday, but apparently he was working on it in the streets of San Francisco. So is he worth it? I mean, and we have our resident expert, the only San Francisco fan on the East Coast, Mr. Eric McMahon. Eric, what are your thoughts on this signing?
Okay, first off, ignore the hat. I know it's a Raider hat, but it's one of those special hats, so I liked it, so I got it. But as a Niner fan, I'm excited about this because it shows that I think they're finally trying to put their eggs in the right basket and go the right direction with everything, because for so long, all you heard was they couldn't get it right on coaching. They hired two guys, had no business being head coaches, only hired general managers that thought over the bottom line. The guy they just got rid of when they put John Lynch in, all he did was trade down for draft picks. Just got draft picks, wouldn't invest in anyone. And when they invested in people, invested stupidly, like Colin Kaepernick. But I think it shows. I think it shows the initiative that they want to go the right direction. And before he got there to trade for New England, which I believe that the Patriots will end up regretting that they ever made the trade, I think they'll end up regretting they ever did it. He took a team that I honestly thought was worse than the Browns, and they won the last 5 games of the year, finished 6-10, and might have the team. It might be the team, other than the Eagles, of course, because they just won the Super Bowl, that are going to go forward and have the most momentum going forward into the offseason to go out and get what they need. They're going to have a top 10 pick. And on top of that, good for Jimmy G. He's going to get $90 million in 3 years because he's the NFL's highest paid player for 5 weeks.
Now, you talked about it before the burrito went on the air. Talk to me about that statement. And that's one that you probably feel very, very emphatic about. What's your thoughts on the next 5 weeks here?
Kirk Cousins is going to be the highest paid player in NFL history. Where he goes, I don't know. And furthermore, that whole idea with the trade, I don't get that trade. I still don't get it.
They didn't like the Alex Smith trade.
Yes, they didn't like Kirk Cousins because he was the ultimate. If I don't have anything, dink, dump, check off. Well, they're pretty much going to get rid of Kirk Cousins because they don't want that. But yet they go out and got and trade the ultimate guy for dink, dunk, and chip and check off, and Alex Smith.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I saw Kirk Cousins as more of a big play quarterback. It seems like every time I see him on, I mean, I'm not an avid Redskins fan, and as a Steelers fan, we don't get to see him a lot. But from a fantasy standpoint, the guy seems to get touchdowns, and Alex Smith is the leader, or was the leader this last year in touchdowns versus interception ratio. So maybe the Redskins are going for safety as opposed to, I guess, rolling the dice more. But as for Kirk Cousins, I'm with you. I think that he's going to get paid too. But for the 49ers to go all in on Jimmy Garoppolo obviously tells you a couple things. And the big thing was for me, is Tommy telling me that Bill Belichick loved Jimmy Garoppolo. He didn't like this trade at all. So the 49ers and John Lynch able to make this thing happen out of nowhere, where there's teams like Cleveland, New York, Miami, Denver that need a quarterback right now. I think that the 49ers said, hey, we're not letting this guy get away. And he gets $137.5 million to stay in San Francisco. So that's not too bad. I mean, San Francisco is a beautiful city, and they've got a rich tradition. They have 5 Super Bowl championships as well, right? I think, yeah.
Yes.
So 4 with Montana, 1 with Young. And they've got a chance to really start the revolution over there as well, and challenge the Steelers and challenge the Patriots for the NFL's most storied franchise.
I think they did this for two reasons. I think two reasons mainly. Number one, they want to win now, and they think this guy gives them the best chance to win now. They go out and get the right pieces of free agency, draft the right guy. They could probably be there and probably make a run for a wild card spot. I don't think they can win the division yet, but I think the second reason they did it, I think this is the most important part of it. Ever since they built the new stadium in Santa Clara, and Tommy will attest to this. The only thing that sold out the the only two things that have sold out the new stadium in Santa Clara are the Super Bowl and WrestleMania.
The only thing closer to Jimmy Garoppolo being all over him are his pants he wears on Sundays, because Tommy is the world's biggest Jimmy G fan. Tommy, take it away. It's your time to shine, my friend.
No, I do love Jimmy GQ. And in the short sample that we got as football fans this year, I mean, I thought he was phenomenal. And the front office of the San Francisco 49ers must have agreed, because 5-year, $137.5 million contract made Jimmy GQ very happy yesterday. Also has got Tom Brady a little mad, because Tom Brady is stating, or rumor mill states, that he will not resign unless he gets Jimmy GQ money. So,
the plot thickens.
Yes, it does. It does. But I think Garoppolo, listen, you spend that much time under Brady, and you're gonna pick up on all the things that make Brady great. And I think Jimmy GQ brings that to the table. Plus, he has a little bit of feet underneath him, which Brady doesn't have. So, like Eric said, I think that the Patriots down the road will probably regret the day that they let Jimmy GQ go to San Francisco, because I think barring, injury setback or whatever might happen, that will affect his play, if he stays healthy and stays out of trouble, he will be an elite NFL quarterback.
So is he worth it?
Is he worth $137.5 million?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I do. I think so.
Jimmy Garoppolo, your highest paid quarterback in the NFL. There's some guy
I don't know
for now.
I don't know about that, honestly. I know it's the market that drives it or whatever, because Stafford was the highest paid quarterback for that. I know it's the market that drives it, and when you sign your contract, I get that. But I don't know if he's worth whatever they needed to sign him for, but in that sliding scale going on to it, I mean, Blake Bortles getting $20 million next year.
Well, I mean, they're going to have the same problem the NBA has. They're going to overpay, and then
ponder that one for a second. Blake Bortles going to get $20 million next year.
Blake Bortles was in the AFC Championship. Jimmy Garoppolo was not.
Yeah. Blake Bortles was in the AFC Championship, yes, but if Jacksonville hadn't played, what division they play? The AFC North and their own division in a last place schedule, they probably don't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
they
you're right.
had no offense.
But that's where we're going to differ, because it's all about who they put in front of you. And if you're able to knock down those who put, I mean, he beat the Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan. That's no easy task. And they said, you're going to have to beat us with Blake Bortles, and they did. So give credit where credit is due. Blake Bortles, if he gets his $20 million, it's, make no mistake about it, it was that Steelers game that earned him that paycheck.
I totally agree. He looked like a Pro Bowler against the Steelers.
But he actually had that paycheck before that game ever started, because they picked up his option. He actually had that before the season ever started.
But making the playoffs is a huge thing in Jacksonville, obviously, for Steelers and for Pittsburgh, for New England. It's kind of like, okay, just another year. You plan for week 17 or week 18, I guess, in your schedule. So Jimmy Garoppolo, here's my last question for you boys. If you're putting together a football team professionally and you have 5 picks, is Jimmy Garoppolo in the top 5?
Okay. Say that again. I'm starting a team and I got to have. You're
starting a team. You got 5. You got the first 5 picks of the draft. Basically, it's like you're mad.
No.
Tommy says no. Eric?
No way. No way.
So the highest paid player is not in your top 5 picks to start a team.
Probably not even in my top 10.
So who is? I mean, I guess wouldn't those constitute the highest paid players, or who should get the most money?
I mean, it would be talent for me. I would try to build around talent. And I'm not saying Jimmy G ain't talented, but there's other quarterbacks that I would rather have besides Garoppolo if I was taking 5 players.
Who would you take?
Well, I mean, you want to just stay on the offensive side of the ball? I mean, yeah, I would probably go with I would take Bell and Brown, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell to start. I think they're the best running back wide receiver combo in the NFL. I would probably try to get a Gronkowski type tight end. Wouldn't take Gronkowski because he's a little older. So I would probably look. Let me
Who's
see.
that cat down in Tampa Bay? I'd keep my
OJ Howard. Yeah,
Yep.
OJ Howard. Yep, he could be huge. I need a good slot receiver, which Brown moves all over the place. Let's go and get somebody big outside. I would probably go with. Honestly, I love Josh Gordon. I think he dominates in a Cleveland Browns uniform. I think if he had a legitimate quarterback underneath him, he would be lights out. So Gordon, Bell, Brown. Man, I don't know about OJ Howard, top 5, but Jalen Ramsey would probably be in there, shutdown corner.
So who's your top one? Who's your quarterback? Who are you taking a quarterback?
Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I would take too.
Interesting
Definitely
takes, boys.
That's what I would take. I would take Aaron Rodgers. You give me 5 to start out with on offense. I would take Aaron Rodgers. I would take Julio Jones because I like AB. And I think he runs best routes to the NFL. But Julio's the most physical receiver in football. He is the most physical receiver in football. He's got issues catching the ball a little bit, but that leads to my point. That leads to my next point. I want a physical receiver because the running back I'm going to take next is Todd Gurley.
That's interesting. That's kind of leads me to my quarterback, who I kind of have Jimmy G and this quarterback on the same level, and that's Jared Goff. I think they're both very similar quarterbacks.
I don't. I don't because I read an article last week on ESPN. It was the most asinine thing I think I've ever read. Someone went on stat numbers like people have never watched a football game, and they're saying Todd Gurley couldn't be the MVP of the NFL because stat-wise, wherever he played, Alvin Kamara from the Saints was better based on numbers. You never watched football. Todd Gurley made everybody around him better. He even made that guy better. Jared Goff's got weapons. He's got weapons to go to. He's got a defense to go to. He's got to maintain. Now in that draft, he was number 1. We know who was number 2 in that draft. Now, he didn't play the Super Bowl because he was hurt, but we know who was number 2 in that draft.
That's my number 1 pick right there.
Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
That's my guy. He is waiting the torch, my friends. He is waiting for that thing. Once that the old leg heals up, Carson Wentz is going to be the face of the NFL. You can watch it and you mark it down because that's going to happen because he's that guy.
And my next two who I'm building on offense, I got to build a top 5 from scratch from any team in the NFL. I would probably at the other receiver, I would probably go that other receiver from the 2011 draft class too. He plays in Cincinnati. I'm sure you guys know who he is.
AJ Green. And my 5th player I would take would not be a tight end, would not be Gronk or wherever. It would be Zach Martin. Because I think Zach Martin's the best lineman in football.
You just pick the lineman in your top 5?
Yeah, because he's a left tackle.
Hey, it all starts up front, right? It all starts up front.
Yes. Zach Martin's the best lineman in football.
I'll be real. I've never heard of the guy.
I bet you Zach Martin's chair don't squeak.
No, it might because it might, but
well, Squeaky, we're out of time. Thank you.
I like that actually.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna have you back because it was great having you. Brought a lot of insight to the show. Tommy, great pick for Free Agent Friday. Our free agent for this Friday, Mr. Eric McMahon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Keep on rocking. That wraps up the burrito. Tommy, final thoughts?
Go Potters. The weekend is here.
The weekend is here. It's a great day. Make it yours. Tune in YSN tonight. Got a lot of great hoops for you. That does it for us, man. That's a wrap on the burrito. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday, 10 a.m. So long, everybody.